Hi, everyone. I'm here with the lovely Naomi Stulman. Hi, Naomi.
Hi, Lily.
Love the hair.
Oh, thank you.
Looks great.
Sometimes
Um,
I have random days that I'll wake up with my hair looking good. It's very, very rare. Usually you'll see me with like a messy bun on top of my head, but I guess God knew that you were interviewing me and
um, I guess so.
yeah.
All
But
right,
thank you. I
let's
appreciate
get started. So you are an occupational therapist,
it.
correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. What is the best part about being an OT?
I would say the best part is the vastness of the field. You know, when I was in school, I always imagined myself working with I always imagined myself working with children. When I was in school, I wanted very much to work with kids who had severe physical disabilities, whether they were born with cerebral palsy or whether they had traumatic brain injuries, burns, spinal cord injuries. Um, that didn't happen yet, but you know, my career is still pretty early on in my career, so it
How
is.
many years have you been doing this?
I've been an OT for coming up on 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 6 years.
Wow.
So yeah, so right now I'm working for the Board of Ed, so I work in a public school. I mean, right now I work from my bed
Hmm.
basically because it's all remote.
Right.
But I've been working for the public school system for the past 5.5 years, and it's been amazing. I love it, but I love the idea that I can also branch out and maybe do what I was just saying I wanted to do when I was in school, like in an outpatient clinic, because thankfully my hours are I get home pretty early afternoon, so I could do after hours. I haven't gotten there yet, but I will,
Hmm.
hopefully. So
Hmm.
that's my favorite part of it, that there's so much that you can do with it. There's so much creativity that's involved, especially, this huge learning curve that's been happening with doing it remotely, figuring out how to be creative from home. So,
Wow.
there are a lot of aspects of it that are challenging because, for those who know what occupational therapists in a school do, we do a lot of sensory treatment for kids who have ADHD or autism, a lot of fine motor skills like handwriting and um, scissors, glue, things like that. So that's been a challenge to do over the computer, but without a challenge, life would be pretty boring, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, like, what kind of creative things do you do?
So, just even figuring out how to do, like games that I would play with the kids at work, like for example, Guess Who or or blocks or things like that, or writing their letters in shaving cream or a sand table or things like that. I'm like constantly searching for videos, constantly making PowerPoints using pictures from Google Images or pictures that I take, so that they're kind of getting the same experience they would get if I was sitting next to them in the school setting, but instead they're doing it like on a PowerPoint, like as a slideshow. They're playing a matching game over the computer. So things like that have been interesting. I've made my own exercise videos, which was fun,
Wow.
because usually we have these posters or videos that we would do at work, ready-made videos, but now you want to engage the kids more because it's much harder now. The kids are in their own houses. It's hard to engage them when you're not sitting right next to them, even if a parent is around. So you have to like be on your feet way more than if you were in the school, because
Hmm.
in the school, like, I have a closet full of games and toys. We have a huge room with like all this sensory equipment, like a swing, a trampoline, and we don't have any of that
Hmm.
now. So it's been a lot of
Is your school a
thinking.
D75?
The school is not D75.
Hmm.
For those people who don't know, D75 is usually children with either physical disabilities or cognitive disabilities like autism, Down syndrome, etc. I work in a regional school. However, there are special classes within that regional school because a lot of parents want their children mainstreamed regardless of their disabilities. So they're in a special program within the school, but I do have a lot of students on my caseload who have autism, who have physical disabilities. So yeah, there is a lot of that as well.
Wow. Very interesting. I relate to some of this because I went for special ed.
Yes.
I have a master's in special ed. I haven't really, I haven't actually had like a lead position yet, but I did work in a school, that like a Jewish school, a Jewish special ed school. So that was like a great experience for me. But I relate to what you're saying. Like I understand because they had OTs and you just froze. Hopefully I'll get you back.
Are you there?
I am here.
Sorry,
No, that's okay. I paused
just
it
a public
anyway.
service announcement. My computer is not great, and this happens to me a lot during my sessions with my students. So sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I was just, yeah.
Okay, good. You were saying about yourself and your master's in special ed.
Yeah, I relate to like what you're saying because like I've seen some of the equipment like in the school that I worked in. They had the kids had OT and like I understand it because I'm also somewhat like I'm not an OT, but I'm in the field of special education. So, but the last job I had wasn't special ed at all.
Right.
It was Montessori, which is different, but
Yeah.
still, yeah, it's education, so it's cool. It's nice to see like other fellow educators who are doing awesome things. So
Yeah, so that also goes back to your original question, what's my favorite part about OT? One of the other really good parts of it, especially when you're working for the school system, is that there's a lot of collaboration. You know, a lot of these kids get speech therapy and physical therapy, and they have CITs, which is, you know, an interim special ed teacher that would come into the classroom with them. And there's so much like bouncing ideas off each other and, you know, looking at the whole child instead of just, okay, he has OT and these are his goals for OT. He has PT and these are his goals for PT. Like everybody really works together to kind of reach all the goals because a child is not, you know, different parts. He's one person and you have to look at the whole picture in order to really help them succeed. So yes, so
that's
if you were
awesome.
working in my school, we'd be collaborating all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's also like a little bit some of this like jargon that you're using in the terminology. Like I literally took a test yesterday about like
Oh,
about
how was that?
disabilities. It was good. It was good. You know what? I've taken it so many times that at this point it's just like it is what it is. But I'll keep you updated. So
Okay, looking forward.
yeah, thanks. Next question. What is your greatest accomplishment?
Oh, my greatest accomplishment. Wow. What is my greatest accomplishment? That's such a big
Makes
question.
you think.
I'm sorry?
Makes you think.
Yeah, it really makes you think, and I feel bad that I'm like thinking on the screen.
Think away.
Right. I do think, you know, this may sound a little vague, but without going into too much detail, I think like my greatest accomplishment is overcoming a lot of personal demons that I've experienced in my past that, you know, I learned from other people they experienced too. I'm not alone in some of my experiences, but I think my greatest accomplishment is finally, you know, being happy with who I am and overcoming all the things that held me back. And a lot of that involves being independent. You know, I'm 31, but I only moved out of my parents' house and the community that I grew up in coming on 3 years ago. And, you know, it wasn't until I moved here to Crown Heights when I realized that I was really holding myself back a lot in self-care, you know, independence and just daily tasks. Like even doing my own laundry was new to me. That's a silly, superficial example, but I'm saying, you know, in religion, in mental health, all these things I finally, you know, came to myself when I moved here, and I feel a lot more comfortable with who I am, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I think a lot of people struggle with that, you know, their whole lives. And, you know, I'm not going to say that I feel like now I'm a perfect, complete, whole human being, but I definitely came a long way.
It sounds
And
like it. It
I
sounds
think that's what
amazing.
I'm most proud of. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I
it
just
sounds
came
like you.
up on the fly. What?
No, I mean, it sounds like I would be proud of me too if that was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that's really awesome. I'm proud of you for just
Thank
based on what
you.
you're saying.
Right.
Mhm.
It's amazing because the fact that you asked me that question, and originally I was like, whoa, how do I answer that? Because it's such like a big broad question, but I was able to answer it. And you know, maybe the fact that I hadn't prepared before, I gave like the most honest answer I could give in the moment. So
Aw, that's
thanks for
awesome.
getting that out of me.
Of course, of course. I'm all about female empowerment, so good for you.
Guys, we need to run a Spice Girls video now. I'm kidding.
Blast from the past. I love the Spice Girls.
Well, who didn't?
Yeah.
We're 90s babies.
Yes, yes, totally. What does friendship mean to you?
Well, friendship, I feel extremely blessed. Sorry, that sounded a little cheesy, but you know what I
No,
mean.
it's not cheesy. You can
Yeah.
be blessed all you want.
I um I have known some of the greatest friendships in like my best friend has been my best friend since I was 4 years old.
Wow.
And we haven't, so we're coming on like 27 years, I think.
What?
And yeah, and we haven't wavered in our friendship at all. Like she's still my best friend.
Does she live in Crown Heights?
She does not live in Crown Heights. She lives in Flatbush. She's married with 5 children,
Aww.
and I actually just went yesterday.
Are
Like
you
I didn't
Aunt
even bother.
Naomi?
What?
Are you Aunt Naomi?
I am Aunt Naomi. It's funny. I'm Aunt Naomi to her kids, but I'm not Aunt Naomi to my actual nieces and nephews. So I find that hilarious.
That is interesting.
But she's really like she's she's definitely like my sister. We've been through hell and back together. She's helped me through the craziest things. You know, I would not be the person I am without her. And I just feel very blessed that I have that constant in my life. And obviously, you know, I have other amazing friendships too that I've created like through elementary school and high school. A lot of them still friends till today, even with, you know, differing life paths. You know, like this girl, she's in a different stage of her life. She's married with 5 children. She is very focused on her career and her children, and you know, she's more religious than me, things like that, but we're still like the best of friends. We still connect on every level, and it's just amazing. And moving to Crown Heights, I've also like created some of like the best friendships I've ever known. um yeah, so it's amazing how you know, you you like, growing up I had all these friendships that I kept and I'm very happy with. And then like moving to Crown Heights, I also like found so many people who, you know, are just like me with their spiritual values, with their, you know, emotional and mental health values. That didn't make so much sense, but things like that. And I just felt very seen when I came here, and very much like a part of a family that I didn't know I needed until I moved here.
Wow.
And now you're living here too. I
I
know
mean, yeah, like
temporarily.
in several hours.
Oh, you're not
Yeah.
there yet? Okay.
I'm not at the moment. I'm not there, but I will hopefully be there soon as well.
Right. That was really the best news I've heard in a while. Even if you're only here for a month, like I'm
Yeah.
just so happy that you're gonna be here.
Aw, I'm happy too.
Yeah, and like who introduced us? Lisa, right?
Probably.
We met at the beach or something. That sounds about right. 'Cause
Yeah. I think I might have seen you in like one of the camping trips, but like we
or
didn't really
that.
talk that much. What?
I said or that.
Yeah.
I don't remember. And
Yeah.
I'm saying this with like perfect honesty. It's like you're one of the coolest people I know, and it's been amazing to have you in my life for real. Like
Oh my God, thanks, Naomi. You're so sweet.
for real, yeah, for sure.
Aw.
Like I was with, I think I was with Chaya and Mimi last week, and just apropos of nothing, it wasn't even in context. We weren't talking about anything, and all of a sudden, Chaya's like, "Could we please hang out with Lily more?" And
Aw.
Mimi and I are like, obviously, we were all thinking the same thing. You know? I think
Aw,
it was
you
after that time that we went to the beach, but yeah,
guys
you're
are so sweet. Yeah, we gotta get on that. We will.
yes, we
We
will.
will. We will.
We will.
Tell me about a life-changing experience you've had. Oh, you froze. Give us a second. She should be back on. This apparently happens during session, so it's nothing to worry about.
Lily?
Yeah, okay, and we're on.
I'm so sorry this keeps happening.
No, it's fine.
Really like, I actually thought about it before we started the Zoom. I'm like, it's gonna keep stopping in the middle, and Lily's gonna be like, why couldn't this girl get a normal computer?
No, it's happened in other, like, there were other, like, interviews that I did that, like, had massive technical difficulties, and, like, another interview kept cutting, like, and I was all worried.
Right.
But it's fine. It doesn't take away from the interview. So.
A life-changing experience that I've had. See, I did it on purpose so I could think about your answer. I'm just kidding. I mean, I would consider moving on my own, but I already kind of answered that. Life-changing experience. Well, when I was younger, when I was 11, I think it was, I was in a very small accident. I was in Six Flags, like an amusement park. Everybody knows what Six Flags is. And my cousin and I were, acting like hot shots who could do anything. Like we're daredevils. And I basically ended up injuring myself. Not badly. The only thing that happened was that I lost some of my teeth.
Oy.
And yeah, so the way adult teeth. So the way I fell, I should have been like paralyzed. The way I fell, like I smashed my neck into the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Like people who said
Wait, how old were you when this happened?
11.
Oh my god. Oh right. Oh my god.
It wasn't to any fault of the park. Like it wasn't like a ride malfunction. It was literally me and my cousin like jumping over a fence because we were stupid. And in the moment I had gotten up and I was like full of blood from like so, and I went through years of braces and different kinds of surgeries for my teeth, and I also went through a lot of like for other people who hear it, they're like, okay, so it's just teeth, but it is traumatizing because it was my adult teeth.
No, for sure.
Yeah, and I had to go through a lot of surgery. Now my front teeth are dental implants.
They look beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, like, I had no idea, like, anything.
Right. I mean, because it's not something I talk about just because it's so far in the past, but it is something that, reminded me, I guess, of things to be grateful for. Because I went through a lot of thinking like, when I had braces, and there were periods of time when I was walking around with like no teeth in the front of my mouth because I was in between surgeries, or the dentist or the orthodontist was busy making like a new set of fake teeth or whatever.
Well, how long from the time that you, like, were you a teenager with no teeth, or like how long did it take?
So right when it happened, like I think within the next 2 weeks, I was able to get like it was like a retainer of some sort that had teeth on it. And then like a few months later, I got braces, and the orthodontist like put a set of fake teeth on the braces. But it was never it never looked perfect. Like while I was going through all those stages, you can see all the gaps. You can tell that they were fake. They were flimsy, um and you and I both know that going through adolescence and teenagehood, you know, with already all the other fun stuff that comes with it, like acne, etc. Like to also have something on top of that that makes you self-conscious.
Right.
It was difficult for me. I'll be honest with you. There were times when I'm like, I remember, like I said, there were times when I was in between surgeries and I went on the train once with my friend. And I had like the whole front of my mouth was completely like no teeth. And I don't think I've ever felt more self-conscious in my life. I was like 16 or 17.
Oh my gosh.
My friend's like, you look fine. And I'm like, I know I look fine. I don't look horrible. It's just, it's extremely uncomfortable.
Right.
And, you know, and like I put myself through a lot thinking, you know, that I didn't look good, or that, you know, that I was ugly.
Well, you're not. You are absolutely beautiful.
Thank you,
You
Lily.
look
So are you.
amazing.
But it was so that was a struggle in itself. And now years later, it's interesting because I think about people who've been in horrible accidents, like that it's done real damage to them. And it's fascinating to me because I still have dreams about my teeth falling out. So it's interesting that any level of trauma that your body or your mental health goes through could really leave a lasting impact. And it wasn't just because I fell and I lost a couple of teeth, and it's mostly cosmetic. Like I'm still a functioning human being, thank God. You know, like I said, the way I fell, I should have been paralyzed. So it really, you know, over the years, I just became more grateful that it wasn't worse. You know,
Right.
at the time and when I was younger and more, I wouldn't say superficial, just more concerned about
Well, yeah, no, it's an ego thing. You're
right,
worried. Like, let's say you have a mark, like a huge, blemish somewhere.
right,
It affects
exactly.
you. It affects your self-esteem.
Yeah, exactly. But it just the whole idea of it and the fact that it should have and could have been a lot worse, you know, just makes me grateful.
Put you in perspective.
Yeah, and now I
Yeah.
kind of use it as a story to scare my nephew because he eats a lot of junk food. So I
Oh,
actually
wow.
just told him about the accident. And I was like, if you don't take care of your teeth, this is what's going to happen. And it's totally not true because I fell. I didn't like just wake up one morning with my teeth gone.
Right. What
But
about your cousin? Was she okay?
yeah, my cousin was fine. She actually jumped first. And
Mm,
then I kind of followed her because I'm like,
mm,
oh, that looks cool. And it didn't feel unsafe at the time. Like there were
right.
two things to hold on to, and like she hoisted herself up and just jumped over. And then when I followed, I guess like I lost my footing, and I just remember I think I was unconscious for a little bit, but then I just remember getting up and my aunt was there and she was like holding my, and like there was blood everywhere. I'm like, what in the world happened
Oh
to
my
me?
gosh.
So back to like the question, the way you framed it, like what would be a life-changing experience? I wouldn't say the event itself. I would just say like all the aftermath and the years of, you know, struggling with self-image and feeling like not the same as everybody else. And you, people could feel that way for like the simplest things, you know. And for me, it was that I had to go through years and years of painful dental work and painful like taking care of, just like imagine you're a 13-year-old girl and like you have a retainer and when you take it out like there are teeth on it. It's like it's
Yeah.
weird. It's like
Yeah.
Halloween wearing things. It's strange.
Ah,
So you know, in the end, like I said, it made me grateful for things like that. It was just my teeth, you know.
right.
So that's, yeah, that's the best answer I have for you today.
Wow. No, that's an amazing. That definitely didn't expect that, but like, thanks for sharing.
Neither did I. Again, you're asking me these questions and I'm just like saying things that I didn't even imagine myself saying. So it's funny. It works. You're good
Yeah.
influence.
No, I'm glad. Very glad. Switching gears to music. You're
Okay.
a guitar player. How
I'm
many?
very flattered that you're saying I'm a
Well, you
guitar.
are. I
I
mean,
appreciate it. I play a total of 5 chords, but
well,
I'll take the compliment. What?
how many years have you been playing those 5 chords?
I started, I would say, I started playing guitar 2.5 years ago. So Rivka, who was
Hmm.
my roommate,
Yeah.
and um, another awesome girl. She when I moved into the apartment, I saw she had a guitar and she played guitar and she was self-taught. And I decided, I kind of had always in the past that I want to learn how to play guitar. And I was like, you know what? Now I'm going to really do it. So I would start picking up Rivka's guitar, and she taught me some chords, and Shim taught me some chords, and then I just started playing around with it. Then I ended up taking professional lessons with Drew Rose. You know who that is, right?
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
Oh, him.
Uh,
So
yeah,
I know the name, but I've never actually met him.
yeah. So I started taking guitar lessons with him for a while. I also took guitar lessons with Ozzy Gluck for a little bit. And so I've been playing those chords, which happen to be, you could use those chords for a whole lot of songs.
I do like stuff with like 2 chords, like
Exactly.
songs and
So
songs and songs.
exactly. So, I mean, I haven't yet mastered bar chords. For some reason, they're way beyond my capabilities. Maybe I have to like slice my fingers open. I don't know, but I just can't seem to get the hang of it. But even
Can
just,
I tell you something about bar chords? Okay, so I've also been playing for like 6 years, something like that,
okay.
and I still have an issue with like bar chord switches. So
Yes,
it takes
thank you.
years, and anyone who just plays, oh my god, it takes years,
Yeah.
like literal years, like to
Rachel would
actually
like
do
sit
it.
next to me and she's like, "What do you mean? Just do it." I'm like, I can't. I'm trying, but it happens to be not that I would love to still learn how to do it, but I think in the end, this is really what I always wanted when I said I wanted to learn how to play guitar. Like I want to be able to sit with a group of people and just jam and sing, and even if I'm only playing 4 chords, um, like I feel like I'm still contributing, or sometimes I'll just take my guitar into my room and sing to myself for like a few hours. um Mostly covers. I'm not really a composer of any sort, but
But you know what? That's great. I do the same thing. And
yeah, I
honestly,
know.
it's therapeutic. Like you just sometimes like
So
the
therapeutic.
yeah, like the words to like the songs like and the chords just relaxing and like it doesn't have to be great. It could just be
Yeah,
something for yourself.
exactly. And I would say that's probably, that's also a huge accomplishment. I wouldn't say a life-changing accomplishment, but it's also a huge accomplishment for me, to come into something saying like I've wanted to do this for years. I've never actually sat down and made the time to do it, and then I finally like moved here and made the time to do it, and now I'm doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You're making me want to pick up my guitar right now, but I
You
won't. After
can.
the
I mean,
interview,
I'm open to
after the
that.
interview.
Anything goes.
Too far away and the Wi-Fi
Okay,
might
fine.
die in a second again.
All right. Well, if you want to, then you can. I'm open to pretty much anything.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, Shim asked me if he could use his vape, and I'm like, you could do anything you want.
If
Like,
he could what?
if you could use his
Oh,
vape, I'm like,
right,
you
right,
can
right.
use his vape, it's fine.
Also,
Um,
I'm gonna start eating then. No, I'm just kidding. I just ordered food from Mendy's, even though I promised myself that I'm gonna start cooking again. Um, but then I ordered food from Mendy's, so too bad.
oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite musician?
Whoa. Favorite musician. I mean, I'm very much if I like the song kind of girl. Like I don't really have a favorite band. Growing up, I listened to a lot of the music that my mom listened to when she was a kid. So I love the Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel, um, you know, then growing up with my siblings in the 90s, I listened to Backstreet Boys. And I know that wasn't your question. You're saying favorite musician. Then I would say Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, I love
Their music
them.
is very soulful and like almost healing. If that makes any sense.
No, it
Like
totally does make sense.
yeah,
I feel like Sound of Silence is like one of those songs that you just,
exactly.
yeah.
And sometimes I'll just like randomly start singing. And when I used to live with my parents, I would just like randomly start singing it, and my mom would just join me. Not ask any questions, just sit there singing it with me. And you know the song Scarborough Fair,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So Rivka and I just like made a duet with it and would just sing it all the time and like harmonize each other. So
Ooh, I gotta hear that. You gotta
yeah,
like record it and
we'll
like post
we'll
it.
make
So,
sure to put on that show for you.
yeah.
There's a whole joke. That's like our thing. If Rivka and Naomi start singing, that's the song we're gonna sing.
Wow.
So yeah.
Very cool. I don't know if
Um,
you've ever seen those religious. I think they're like Hasidic guys in Israel who did a cover of Sound of Silence on one of the Israeli talent shows.
I think I did see that. They did a
Yeah.
cover or a
It's a
parody?
cover. No, 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 it's a cover.
Oh,
No, no, oh no, they did a cover of that, but they're like guys with like long payas and like
oh,
a whole
I
get
didn't
up.
see it, but I will definitely look.
Yeah.
Um,
Or you can remind me and I'll try to remember to send it to you. It's really awesome.
okay.
It's like so cool. It's like it's cool because it's like they're they look like real like religious guys and they're singing such a powerful song and it's like it's
Well, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, Sulan Lemmer, like, right? That's his name. Like, he also when he does covers of
Wait, who is
secular
this?
songs. Sulan Lemmer, is that his name? Did I miss?
Okay, yeah, I haven't actually heard of him do a secular
Right
cover.
now, I got scared that I don't know if he did a cover of that, but he did do a cover of maybe it was Hallelujah, but
Mm,
I mean these people could really sing. I
yeah.
mean that like back to your question about my favorite musician. I love any musician that I could sing along to
Hmm.
without having to like strain my voice or change the key or anything like that. Just like in the car, just singing along to anything really.
Hmm.
Lately, actually, I've been listening to a lot of Spanish music
Mm.
because, I ever since I started working in the public school, my co-OT Daphne, she speaks Spanish. She grew up in Latina household, and I like started deciding that I really want to speak the language, because especially in New York and especially with a lot of my students and their parents, it's very useful to have that in your repertoire. And I also took Spanish in high school. So I had like a sort of foundation. I wouldn't say it was great, but then over the years, Daphne and I have been speaking in Spanish so much that I started like really absorbing the language. And with that, I decided to also start listening to Spanish music, which half the time I can't understand
Mm.
because they're singing really fast. Not that I
Right.
understand the words, but Spanish music, especially Spanish dance music, is like just so, when you're in the mood of like sultry dancing. Well, you know this because you like belly dancing. Like that kind of music just really,
Yeah,
really
it makes you
speaks
want
to
to
me.
move. Yeah.
Yeah, when you just want to move, that's the best music, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I love it too.
Yeah.
What is your hashkafa?
What is my hashkafa? Um, so when I lived with my parents, I love how every sentence starts with when I lived with my parents. I grew up, I wouldn't say in a yeshivish household. It was modern yeshivish, like young Israel type. I don't know if that is clear, but um I it was all I ever knew, like growing up in that household and keeping everything, I guess, kind of rotely, I guess, so to speak.
Broke
But
you? Like
wrote like it was wrote, meaning that it was all I ever knew. So everything that I was doing, it was like whatever I learned in school or whatever my parents did.
mhm.
When you say hashkafa, you mean like
So I
I
feel
have a
like
hard
it's
time with the word
reflection, right?
hashkafa.
Is
What?
that what it means? Because I know that it's a question that people ask people, and I didn't grow up religious at all, so I'm like kind of
Right.
new to the whole concept. But the way I understand it is your life reflection, your philosophy on life.
philosophy on life, not necessarily on religion.
Oh,
But yes,
I never
religion.
thought about that.
Right.
Okay, so let's do both. What's your
Okay.
philosophy on life, and then what's your philosophy on religion?
Um, wow, you really hit with the hard questions, Lily. Philosophy on life. I think that I mean, you could steer me a different way if this is not what you meant by the question. But philosophy on life, I mean, it's also a really good time to ask this question just because we're living in very strange times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that, you know, just just to love yourself and like love all the people around you and, keep keep healthy relationships, keep friendships, keep your family close. Like, if anything, unfortunately, like I've seen people around me suffer very greatly from the pandemic and just in life in general. And, just to be grateful and really live life as fully as possible and do your best to be happy. Some Daphne actually, my co-OT, she once said to me, she's like, happiness is a choice. And I remember like fighting her on that. I'm like, well, it's not really a choice because sometimes you have really bad stuff happen to you and then you're just automatically not happy. And she would say, no, the point is that you have to choose to be happy even when you're not in a happy situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was probably, it was like we were stuck in traffic somewhere. It wasn't like a profound setting, but that was one of the most profound things anybody ever told me. And it's something that I definitely struggle with, but I think is very important to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so definitely to do your best to be happy with yourself and be happy with the people that you choose as your company. Um, and to always, I think another part of that is also to be giving. Like I do try. Sometimes I've been told I give too much. Like I have a tendency to absorb other people's pain.
Mm-hmm.
So if like a friend of mine is going through a hard time, like I am going through it with them.
Mm.
Um, I mean, in some ways, I would say that's a good quality
Well,
because,
yeah,
like,
you're a good friend. You like when someone is in pain, like
yeah,
you're in pain with them. Like, and when someone's happy,
yeah,
you're happy with them. So like
right.
that makes you a really good friend.
Thank you. But like sometimes, it ends up, um, you know, taking a toll on me in the sense that I end up struggling with the same thing that they're struggling with because maybe that's empathy, if that's the word that works for that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think being a good friend and just being a good person, like it doesn't have to be, even though it's a beautiful thing to say, like, I would drop everything for you the second you want it, and I'm gonna run and do and like be the most amazing person in the world. If you can, that's great, but obviously you also have to take care of yourself. My point is that being a giving person while still staying a person
Mm-hmm.
is is something that I also like think very strongly about
Mm.
because I don't know, I think that just giving to other people, it doesn't even have to be giving, like just giving your time to other people is something that I really value, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
lucky enough to have other people who are willing to do that for me, and I feel happy when I'm able to do that for other people.
Mm.
And then philosophy on religion. Um,
Good, you didn't forget.
I didn't forget. Well,
Good.
that's why, because when you asked the question, I started like talking about it. I'm like, wait, I don't know if this is what you meant. Um, but I was saying, living in my parents' house, I kept everything a certain way because that's how my parents did it. And it wasn't until I moved out, which I think happens to a lot of people, like in our cohort, in our age, in our community, um, you start looking at the world differently because you're kind of more free, I guess. Like there are less expectations of you because you're not living with your parents who raised you, and you know, you were following their hashkafa and you were going to the schools that they sent you to, etc. So with that, I will say I don't have the same religious views that I had when I was younger, but something that is still very important to me, even if, you know, even if I'm not like fully keeping Shabbos, or even if I'm not fully keeping kosher or something like that, anything like that, I still very much need the connection of um
Uh-oh, you froze. Give us a second. It's okay. Mm, yes, and we're back.
so
Yeah.
that's the third lag we're gonna have in this interview. Um Sorry about that. What was the last thing I said? Or that you
You still, even though you're not like, you still need the connection.
yeah, so I still like, it's not like I need somebody to make kiddush and
Mhm.
Bella, like things like that. I still always have Shabbos meals, and I'm still always wanting to like sit around a circle and sing. You know,
Mm.
like that's the kind of, and I still go to shul, and you know, that kind of thing. I really feel a connection to the spirituality of it, the art of it, almost like the singing, the dancing, um, you know, things like that. Um, so I'm definitely more focused on the spiritual aspect of religion than the, you know, the
Religious aspect
laws.
of religion.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
I'm all like, I started keeping Shabbat about 3 years ago, but like, at any time like I slip up or whatever, I always think like I'm Beit Hillel. Like I'm not about to take anything extra on that's gonna make it harder for me to live a you know, a life of you know, comfort. Because
yeah,
it's not even like, it's not even that life's all about comfort. It's just that the religion like shouldn't make you feel guilty. You know what
exactly,
I mean? So
exactly.
yeah.
You know, in the end, I still feel guilt. You know, I think it's like
Mhm.
it's a hazard of being
Well,
Jewish.
everyone does. Everyone feels guilty. Everyone. I don't think it's because. I don't think it's like free of like being a human. Like I think most humans have this tendency. I mean, even Irish people have guilt. There's Irish guilt. Like, of course, there's Jewish guilt, but like every. I think it's a thing where people, you know, tend to just feel like they want to do more. Like
Right.
it's part of being human.
Exactly. And you know, when it comes down to it, I don't resent my parents or anything like that for raising me a certain way, and for me kind of, I wouldn't even say straying from the path, because that sounds negative. I don't think it needs to be a negative thing that you move on, you grow up, and you choose your own path, whether it comes to religion, and spirituality, whatever it is. So I don't like the word straying, but you know, the guilt comes from, you know, years and years of being a certain way, and 2 years is not a long time to have changed your views on certain things. So the guilt is still there, but I think in the end it's more important to, you know, be who you are, and
Mhm.
it's not, it's no matter how many times or how often you could think like, okay, but I don't want, but this is how I was raised, I don't want to hurt my parents, anything like that. But in the end, it's like, if you're not living your true life, then kind of what's the point, you know?
Right.
it's
For sure.
not it's not something that, then you'll never feel satisfied, you'll never feel like you're being yourself if you're not
Hmm.
actually being yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. Any final thoughts? Final word? You could whip out your guitar now if you want.
It's all the way in the other room,
Okay,
and
fine.
if I yeah, I mean, I have like a little, you've been to my apartment, I have them like hanging in the living room.
Oh, okay.
One of them is Rivka's, it's still in my house, but she basically still lives here, so she can keep her guitar here. Any final thoughts? First of all, I think this is a beautiful thing that you're doing, like interviewing your friends, even if it's like just for yourself, like just the whole idea of it is really nice. And you really opened me up. I did not foresee myself saying half the things I said, but thank you for real. And I'm so excited that you are here in a few hours and that that I met you and that you're in
Aw.
my life. And if it ends up being that in a few months you're in Israel,
Ah,
we were about to hang up.
no, it's okay. It's
No,
okay.
I mean yeah, I at this point I think you're expecting it. Um, so I just what else was I saying? Yeah, so if that's what you end up doing, hopefully we'll all end up in Israel together.
Amen.
Mhm.
Huge amen.
But yeah, so really, thank you so much for this.
No, thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and I'm really grateful you're in my life, and you're just such a beautiful person, and I really, really appreciate you agreeing to this and
Of course.
coming to the beach and chilling, and like we should definitely,
Yes,
definitely do
beach.
that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm excited that you're here too, and definitely be in touch.
Okay. Thanks, Lily.
Of course. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.